I'm glad I sat in on the discussion about playing to your strengths because it was a really good discussion on evaluation, feedback, criticism, strengths and weaknesses. Which one do you work with? What's best for you? And keep in mind that when you think about evaluations, performance evaluations in the organization, they have two purposes. One is to be a counselor for you and to help them so that they can coach and guide you on what you need to improve upon, which is usually the focus, and also talk to you a little bit about your strengths, but it's also there administratively. And that's the big thing you have to remember, is that it's also there for the organization to know whether you're next on the layoff list, you're next for the promotion list. So all of those things are all encompassed within that performance evaluation. And so it means that you might find out what your strengths are, but you still have to pay attention to your weaknesses. So I talked about this a little bit. Performance evaluations really are, they see them as opportunities for improvement. It's what can you do to get to the next level, and 9 times out of 10, it's what can you do to get to the next level in that current job. So this is a performance evaluation from one of my old jobs. They ask you to look at the skills for your current, and I'm going to read it, I'm sorry. When busy, the amount of attention paid to accuracy on individual projects sometimes lessens. A final once-over before calling a task complete may help her catch these errors that occasionally slip through. Overall detail orientation is not at the level expected of a person with Eileen's experience. I spent 20 years trying to improve detail orientation. This is something that came out. The problem was I wasn't exactly in the right position. The top part of the summary says, excellent rapport with our clients, as well as most individuals she comes in contact with at the organization that contribute to her success here. Always willing to share her expertise and knowledge with those project team members less experienced than herself. So what does that say to you right there? Willing to share her expertise and knowledge. Good teacher, teacher, trainer, that type of thing. Welcomes the chance to broaden her experience base. Willing to learn. What else might that lead you to? Yes?
You're interested with things that you're not always familiar with?
So I want to explore, I want to learn, I want to understand other ideas and other thoughts and patterns and that type of thing. Figuring out what that performance evaluation might be saying to you helps you then start to think about, how do I craft that job for the future? And so it's not necessarily about foregoing what your weaknesses are, because you still have to improve upon those at some level, but it's figuring out how to redesign where you're at with what you have. Does that make sense? If you understand your own personal strengths as well as the people that you're working with, what does that give us in terms of these 3 things? Come on. What do you think? Workforce capabilities, understanding other people. Yes?
It can improve the collaboration and therefore increase the success of all the areas.
So you might improve upon collaboration because you understand what they're good at and how they might help you with, focusing on new products or even figuring out how to restructure something. So it will help all of these things. What else? Yes?
Efficiency in the workplace.
Efficiency. Right, you know who to call on, right? Who's going to help, who's got the right tools to get a project completed. It's going to improve on your behaviors, right? Because now you know who's strong in what area, and they're going to be excited to be working within that area because they're working on their strengths. It's from that pull. What about attitudes? If you're doing something you love, and everybody's working on that, what happens?
Having an excited person on the team always helps in taking care of the spirit of the team.
Yeah, so you're always helpful, always doing that. What else?
So your attitude kind of ties into the other 2. Like, you have a positive attitude, you're happy doing what you want to do. It's going to reflect on your behavior and possibly your capabilities. You want to do more.
So it helps, go ahead, sorry. helps pull those out, helps you want to do more. Do you remember the some terms like citizenship behavior? Do you remember those? It might help people like work above and beyond, you know, and attend meetings they don't want to do, and you know, all those types of things. What about do you remember the counterproductive work behavior idea? So if you're not playing to your strengths, so that, right, some withdrawal symptoms, you might start pulling back, not really wanting to be engaged. So if we work from our strengths, we gain in other ways for the organization itself. I could use your clicker, but yeah, it is. It also has implications beyond just the organization that you're in. It has implications for M&As, right? You need to understand the strengths of the other company, the strengths of the players within those other companies. It has implications if you're planning to head into sales or client service. Understanding your client's strengths plus understanding your strengths will help you partner better with and build those relationships. And then individual employees we've talked about a little bit. So StrengthsFinder is one of those, this book here, is one of the tools that helps you try to allocate your strengths or understand what your top 5 strengths are. This is one that we've talked to a lot of people who have taken this evaluation, who've read the book, and it actually is almost pretty true to form in terms of where it finds your strengths, what it allocates as your strengths. Has anyone in the classroom had to take this before? A couple people. So how'd you feel about it?
I typically thought all aspects actually.
Ah.
And I thought it was pretty accurate.
So, I mean, and that's kind of the testimony. I took it over the weekend, and I emailed Suzanne, and I said, wow, I'm pretty impressed because it does actually, you know, it's pretty accurate in what it targets. It helps identify your talents or your natural ways of thinking, feeling, or behavior. So it doesn't necessarily tell you what job to go after. It doesn't tell you what position in the organization you might be good at or what career path, but it helps you highlight and understand where your strengths lie. But as we started, when we first started talking, understanding our strengths, understanding our team's strengths, may help us create and craft a better team. How do we know our own, and that can help us improve, it can help us triangulate a job, but how do we work with others in order to build this? And so what we're going to do a little activity here. What I'd like you to do is to break into small groups. I won't make you get up and move around, but maybe groups of 5 or 6, and I'm going to give each individual team one of the 34 strengths. And what I'd like you to do is for the 34 talents, what I'd like you to do is discuss the pros and cons if you had an employee who has this particular talent within your organization, and then how you might select jobs or work projects that would reach out to that employee. Yes.
We're writing the pros and cons for
Okay.
working with that person, right?
Right.
And then kind of developing where would this person be successful?
Right. Yep.
Like-
Where might you put them in an organization? What kind of jobs do you think that they would be good at? Okay? Okay. How are you doing with Woo? Yeah? The Woo team, that's right. All right, so what are your pros and cons?
If you're getting someone who's in your group that typically is going to be left out on one hand, probably they're more introverted, getting them into your group, get some good ideas that you would have had
Right.
everyone else might miss out on because they wanted to leave their person out. But that person, if they're shy, they have some good ideas. So
Yeah?
getting them into your group is
Gonna change that.
someone's trying to control people in your group.
Yeah.
That could be bad because they don't fit in.
Right. Right.
They weren't included in the first place. Maybe they were like lazy or they don't do anything, something like that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't recommend it.
About not being in the right position. Maybe they're just not really in the right group.
Right. So do you think about jobs, possible jobs this person should be in, or? coaching positions because they're always trying to connect with other people, and yeah. That's the one you have, right? Yep. Yeah. Yeah, like icebreaker and that sort of thing. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pushing. Yeah. Okay, you're getting a little too pushy. The lower level. Yeah. So you might want to think about that. What happens if you find someone entry level who's like this? What do you do with them? I mean, how do you keep them engaged enough to get them interested in the organization, but also tone them down a little bit so that other people want to work with them? I mean, that could be a real problem. Good. Good thoughts. What time is it? Is everybody just about done? Got some pros and cons, thinking about where you might place them in the organization? Anything else? Any other cons of an achiever? They're perfect. We want them everywhere.
Might run over other people in the process.
So they might step on other people, run over them. So what career path did you pick?
Would be a great project leader,
So project leader? Because
because it would make sure it's successful and timely completion.
so they're always going to move things forward. Okay? How about my deliberatives? Pros? Where are they? Detail oriented. What else?
Analytical.
Analytical. Okay. You have cons?
Can multitask.
Is that a pro or a con?
It's common.
Con? They can or can't?
Can.
Cannot. Okay.
Not enough.
Okay. What else? Non-risk taker. Career path? Negotiator. Because? You can't just put it out there. You got to give me an answer. Because?
Detail oriented.
Detail oriented. So they're a good negotiator because they're detail oriented? Should they? Do you want to add something?
It's their strong point because they're afraid of their supervisor.
Right. And we had a great discussion while they were thinking this through about whether that person could be entry level or whether they were best as a maximizer at, at the top. So those are just some ideas about how to think about the talents if you do get the book and walk through it. We have a handout for you of all 34 and what they're about.